Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. I thought I would do my February wrap up, seeing as it is now March, and I wanted to go through everything I read, my thoughts, feelings, opinions, ratings, everything like that. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm going to try and go as close to an order as I can because I actually can't remember exactly what order I did read these books in, but I do remember the first book I finished in February was Heavenly Bodies by Imani Eru, I think. This is the Waterstone Special Edition, which is just so pretty. Look at the inside. If you are unaware of what this book is about, if you haven't heard about it, because I feel like it's going everywhere at the minute, the reason I picked this up was because of Emmy. I'm sure you all know her. I saw she rated it 5 stars, and the minute she said that this is everything you want in a romantasy, I ordered the special edition because I had that high of a hope and I just knew I'd love it, and I was not disappointed. This was a 5-star read for me. I absolutely loved it. If you're unsure what it's about, it is like a celestial fantasy, and it basically follows, I'm saying this, I actually can't remember her name, a girl called Alara, that's it. A girl called Alara who has basically been taken by the enemy into their kingdom because there was basically a prophecy that said that she would fall in love with a star and they'd both die, which is like one of the gods. And basically on her 18th birthday, she's having a birthday party. The star god, who is within the prophecy, basically comes and decides he's going to try to kill her because he doesn't obviously want this prophecy to happen. So in the midst of him arriving, she basically goes off, she runs off, and then she wakes up and she's in the enemy's carriage being taken to their kingdom because they want her to train with them and then help them kill the star that is obviously within the prophecy, and she's been assigned to train with the prince. So it's enemies to lovers. It's just amazing, like the whole setup. I might have butchered it a bit, so I do apologise, but it is just so fun, such a good concept, and I was obsessed from the start. If you need persuading, this is the first sentence, which says Alara Bella, I think it's Bellarive, I think that's her last name, correct me if wrong, had been able to walk through dreams for as long as she could remember. So she's a dream walker, she's very powerful. I'm not going to go into anything else because I do not want to spoil it, especially if you want to go in completely blind, but that's pretty much what it says in the back. She's basically been taken to the enemy kingdom to train with them in order to help them kill the star, which turned up on her birthday and tried to kill her. And it's just so good, like the relationship, the bond, the tension, the yearning, the banter between the female main character and the male main character. I was sat the whole entire time. There's not much spice. I think there's about like a chapter or 2 maybe. It's very slow burn, but I love that. There's a lot of yearning, as I said, and it's just so good. I did tab quite a bit. I'm going to see if I can find a quote. Oh, I don't want to say that because that's a plot-based one. This is what I mean when I say yearning and just like slow burn. She says, "Thank you," and he says, "For what?" "For giving me a piece of you." And then he says, "You have more than me than I care to admit." More than me? More of me. More of me than I care to admit. I can't even read. I can't explain it. I actually was filming a... hold on. Now I'm getting distracted because I want to relive the thrill that was reading this. Oh, another one of my favourite quotes says, "You know the most dangerous kind of villain, a woman with nothing left to lose." I rest my case. I actually was doing a reading vlog for this book because I read this at the start of February. I did a reading vlog, but it was filmed on my phone and I had a lot of issues with it. I actually still have the file on my iPad. I'm pretty sure it's all edited. It was part of a video that I then ended up pausing and never continuing, but I do have a full vlog of me reading this and my thoughts and my opinions and my reactions to reading this, so maybe that will come out soon. I'm not too sure. I haven't actually looked at it in a while, but I do have the footage somewhere, so it might appear. You never know. But anyway, long story short, I did rate this 5 stars, and if you're looking for a good romantasy with slow burn, tension, banter, yearning, Celestials, this is the one. And I think the second one is coming out in November, I believe. So there is a bit of a wait, but oh my god, it is just incredible. And then I also read, I'm going to put the photo here, but I do have the photo also on my phone, just so that I didn't forget to speak about it. But I then read The Full Risk by Abby Jimenez. This is just a short novella that she came out with, I believe, at the start of February. I don't know if it was sort of like a Valentine's Day kind of thing, but it basically follows two characters. I cannot remember their names for the life of me, and I read it on my Kindle, so I can't confirm their names. But basically follows a girl and a guy, and they basically share an apartment, and they wake up one day and their staircase has been removed. They are unsure what is going on, and it basically turns out that the landlord told the construction company the wrong unit, so they basically removed the staircase from their apartment and they were meant to actually remove it from a different apartment. So these two, this guy and this girl, are basically now stuck in their apartment for the whole weekend, and she's going through something quite traumatic. She's had a very awful ex in the past, and she's kind of, actually I don't even think it's next, she just has a bad stalker, sorry, she has a really bad stalker, and she's trying to like move on with her life and stuff, and then they end up hanging out a bit, and it is just really cute. It's obviously fast paced, it's a little novella, I'm pretty sure it's literally 80 pages, but if you want something fun, sweet, just light-hearted, and I just love Abby Jimenez's writing, and I believe I gave that one a 3-star. I feel like novellas are quite hard to rate highly, especially one that is under 100 pages, because it's obviously very quick, you don't get much of an insight into the characters, but I just love Abby Jimenez's writing, and regardless, I'm always going to love whatever she puts out. I've never been disappointed. Obviously, I didn't rate it 5 stars because it's obviously only 80 pages. I feel like that wouldn't be right, but like 3 stars I feel like is quite solid for the short novella. So if you're looking for something quick, light-hearted, that you can just finish straight away, I would definitely recommend. The next book I'm going to speak about that I read in February was Heartless by Marissa Meyer. This one, I think it's Meyer, I'm not too sure. But this one is basically a Queen of Hearts retelling prior to her becoming the Queen of Hearts. So it's like a Regency based book, and it basically follows a girl called Catherine, I believe. Yeah, a girl called Catherine who is in high society. Her parents want her to marry, she's going to all these balls, she's obviously got like quite high status, but she wants nothing more than to be a baker. She doesn't want to be someone's wife, she doesn't want to be in that whole world. She basically just, all she wants is to just own her own bakery with one of her handmaids and cook, and she wants to be known as the best baker in all of Hearts. And it sort of follows her and her journey, obviously, as it is a Queen of Hearts, Alice in Wonderland-esque retelling. You have the Mad Hatter, you have obviously like the White Rabbit, the Cheshire Cat, so it's really fun to see them feature and like get a bit of that story, especially imagining it wise. Like, it's so easy to picture because obviously you've seen the films, you kind of know how it works, and they talk about like certain references from the book, like the Jabberwockies in there, and like certain things that are happening, and it's just really interesting because obviously going from watching the film to then like this retelling from her prior, it's really interesting, especially the fact that this like sort of tells you how she became the Queen of Hearts and like why she is the way she is, and it is really fun. However, I just thought it was very, very slow. Oh, I really wanted to love it. I just found it very slow. I really wanted to love it, but I feel like the start is very strong, like you're thinking, okay, I'm excited, and there's like this element of a mystery in the background of like what's going on, because there's a few things that have been happening, or like a few things that don't quite add up, but I feel like it was very obvious what was going on when like the ending happened. It kind of, you already kind of know how it's going to end within like, I say 50% of the book, and then yeah, there wasn't much shock factor, there wasn't much surprise. I feel like it was quite clear where it was all going, and then on top of that it was just quite slow. I feel like we could have, how many pages is this? Like 450 pretty much. I feel like we could have done this in 350, maybe even 300. I feel like we could have cut out a good 150 of these pages. It is very cosy though, I will say. It's not like a high stakes fantasy. I think I much prefer like this kind of fantasy, whereas this is a lot more cosy. I mean, there's still things that are happening, it's still gut-wrenching, there is very sad scenes in this, the ending is like hits you, but I just wish I had Like, I wish I just got more. And I think I rated this, I can't even remember what I rated this. I think I rated it 3.5 because I did have a good time. I just didn't love it, which is just so upsetting because I really wanted to. What did I rate this? Yeah, 3.25. So I did enjoy it. If that sounds up your street, or you're just looking for like a cozy, I guess in a way light-hearted, like it's not super high stake, then I definitely would recommend. And it is really interesting. It just didn't quite hit the mark for me. The next book that I read in February was Wildfire by Hannah Grace, and I actually have a reading vlog with this out. I believe it is already out. It is the continuing series I'm in the middle of. This was in there, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about my thoughts and opinions, because if you are interested you can go and watch that video. But this one for me was a disappointment. It was not what I was after. I am very hit and miss with contemporary romance. I really love them, but they're definitely not my favourite genre, and it has to be done perfectly for me to believe in the relationship and to enjoy it, to be honest. And this one just didn't hit for me. I feel like it was quite fast paced. If you're unsure of the premise of this book, it basically follows Russ and Aurora, and they basically cross paths at a drinking game in college. They end up hooking up, and then they obviously separate ways after they've hooked up that night, and then they both end up helping out at a summer camp without realising it, so it's sort of like forced proximity. But they both have quite traumatic relationships with their fathers, and that is a very big plot point. I'm pretty sure I said in the video when I was reading it in the reading vlog that this book is sponsored by Daddy Issues, and if I had to take a shot for every time Daddy Issues was mentioned in this, I would have been on the floor blackout, because it is non-stop. I understand that's the whole point, and I understand that's their backstory, and that's a lot of what makes them who they are, but yeah, it just hit a point and I just didn't believe in their relationship, to be honest. I didn't really believe in their love and them as a couple, so I actually only rated this one at 2 stars. But as I said, if you would like to see me actually read this, or you're interested to see my proper in-depth thoughts and opinions, then please go and watch that video. The next book I read was also another one I was reading in my continuing series video, and that is The Atlas Complex by Olivia Blake. And this is another one I'm not going to go into too much detail on, because obviously, as I said, it is in my reading vlog, so please head over there to watch my thoughts and opinions. But this is another one that let me down, which is heartbreaking to say, because I absolutely loved this series. All I will say is it has beautiful artwork. I think I don't know if all of her books do actually, but this series, all of them have really incredible artwork, which makes it really fun. But yeah, I was completely heartbroken, I guess, on this book, because I loved The Atlas Six, the first book in this series. Loved it. I just thought it was so good. It was so well written. I feel like it was so fast paced. I was unsure if I would really grasp it all, because it is quite a lot to digest. So I loved the first one. I felt like it was just done so well. And then the second one, I think the first one was a 4.5 for me, and then the second one was like a 3, because it just kind of went and like not much happened. But then the end kind of saved it for me. Like the last, I want to say 20% picked it up. And then picking up this, I think I could have slept through the majority of it. I kid you not. The last 100 pages was pretty much the only part that like gripped me. The first 20% as well, when I was like back in the world, I was like, okay, I miss the characters, I love this, I'm so excited, I'm expecting a lot, I think it's going to be just crazy. There was just no plot to me. It was just a snooze fest. I had to power through it. I actually ended up listening to the audiobook of this. But as I said, I'm not going to go into too much detail. If you want to see my full opinion and thoughts and like what the book's about and what it follows, please go watch my continuing series I'm in the middle of. But as a whole, I think I rated this one, let me just double check, I really should know seeing as I'm filming this video, 3 star. Yeah, I rated this one a 3 star, which when you thought it might be like a 4 or 5 is a bit disheartening. The next book I read was another one in my continuing series, so oh my god, I feel like I'm just on like repeat. Please go watch the video. but it was Six Scorched Roses, which is the novella in between The Serpent and the Wings of Night and, oh, I can't remember the second one, but it's the novella in between the Crowns of Nyaxia duology. I read the first one I think back in 2023 and I rated it a 3-star, and then I read the novella part of the continuing series, and I absolutely loved it. So much more than I thought I would. I actually think I preferred it to The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I actually rated it a 4-star. I think it was only about 200 pages long, and it follows Lilith and I believe Vale, and they are where it's set, Lilith's a mortal girl and Vale is one of the vampires, and her sister is dying. There's been like this really bad plague put on her village ever since her dad sort of made this bad deal with one of the gods. There's been this like horrible plague put on it, and her sister is dying, everyone is dying, and she's desperate to find a cure. So she goes off to Vale's house and basically makes a deal with him. In exchange for 6 roses, he will give her 6 vials of his blood for her to work with. And it's just so beautiful. I'm so glad I read it, and I'm obsessed with them. And I now found out the reason they have obviously the novella between the two is because Lilith and Vale are mentioned in the second book, which I'm so excited to read now. It's bumped that one up on my priority list, because before I knew I was going to read it but I wasn't as bothered, but now that I've read that novella and I'm invested in them, I'm obsessed. I cannot wait to read it. But again, that one, what was I saying? If you want my proper thoughts and opinions, it will be in my continuing series vlog. And yeah, that one was a 4 stars for me. I really, really loved it. The next book I read, which I don't have a physical copy of yet, I will be getting one, was none other than Binding 13. The reason I read this actually, the reading vlog that I'm doing for that won't be out yet, but it will be out soon. It should probably be out within the week that you're watching this video if everything goes to plan. So keep your eyes peeled, there will be a video with me reading Binding 13 out soon. But yeah, I read that one based off of the video that I'm doing. I'm not going to go into it, but I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I was very intimidated because obviously it is such a brick. I think it is about 600-700 pages, and it's obviously a romance, so you're kind of thinking, is it that deep? I feel like it shouldn't be marketed as a romance, because there is a lot more that goes on to it than just the romance element. I feel like, saying that, I don't know what else you'd class it under. Like, I guess it's literary fiction, but then it is YA romance. It's a really difficult one because it also I don't think should be a YA, but they are then teenagers. Anyway, I don't want to go into too much detail on my thoughts and opinions on Binding 13 because, as I said, I've done a reading vlog and my full opinion and reading experience is in that. I don't want to take that away. But I did rate it a 4 stars, which is higher than I thought, also lower than I thought. I don't know where I really expected myself to fall on my thoughts on it. I did struggle with some of it. I did find parts of it quite cringe, and yeah, there were parts that I struggled with, let's just say that. The reading vlog explains it all. But yeah, I did rate it 4 stars, which is obviously still a very high rating, so I did actually end up enjoying it in the end. And I am going to continue on with the series, so that's very exciting. So finally, I don't actually think I said I read 8 books in February, don't think I said that at the start. So I did read 8 books, and we're on to the last. So the last book I read in February was The Book of Asriel by Amber V. Nicole. How cute is that cover? This one is also in the same reading vlog as Binding 13, so I don't want to go into it too much because, as I said, there's a lot of thoughts and opinions. There's much more in-depth review of it in that video, which should be out within the week. Fingers crossed everything goes to plan. But trying to think of how I'm going to go about my opinion on this, because since filming that video and giving my rating, I think I've actually dropped my rating. Before, in the reading vlog, I rated it a 4 stars. I was on the cusp of 3.75/4, and I ended up rounding it up to a 4. I think I am now going to go with a 3.5/3.75 because the more I've thought about it, yeah, it wasn't it wasn't what I expected, and it really upsets me to say that because I was so excited to read this. This has such great reviews. The reason I read this was based off someone else, which you will see in the reading vlog, but it just didn't hit for me. I feel like it was such a strong setup, and the first 20% I was raring, I was here for it, I was excited, and then from 20% to 70% I feel like nothing happened. Like, again, it was a case of, it was high stakes, we were looking for something quite important, we were stressing about it, and 1 minute it'd be like, this is so important, we need to, you know, the whole premise of the book, we need to find the Book of Asriel, and that was the main point, and it was very high stakes. It came across like, oh my god, if they don't find it right now, it's life or death. The next chapter comes around, nothing's been done, I feel like we're not moving anywhere, we're not getting anywhere. And I'm like, but it's high stakes, like, it's, like, we're meant to be finding this, like, it's, we need to get it. No. Like, nothing. And then we hit about 70 to 80%, and it picked up a little bit. And then the ending was crazy, and in my eyes a bit like, are you kidding? Because there were certain things brought up that in my head I just didn't understand, and I obviously understand this is a trilogy. Actually, I think it's meant to be like a 7-book series, but I understand there's 3 books currently out, so I get, like, I'm sure a lot will be answered in book 2, and I feel like based on how slow and world-buildy this book was, book 2 has to be incredible because we've been given so much but so little. So I'm like, now you've done all this, book 2 has to be good, book 2 has to be crazy, the plot has to be strong. Like, I feel like book 2 could be my preferred book out of these, like the 2. But yeah, obviously as a whole I was just quite disappointed because I was thinking this would be a 5 stars. Don't know if that's my problem. Also don't know if my problem was going into it after Binding 13, because that was a whole other roller coaster. I don't know if that impacted my opinion on it, but I did read this. I actually buddy read this with a friend of mine, and she as well, she actually rated it 2 stars. She was thoroughly disappointed. I was disappointed, but not obviously to that degree. So yeah, I'm not alone in it, but I am probably outside of the majority vote here because I know a lot of people love it, and it does pain me that I wasn't one of the people that is now obsessed with it. I definitely will continue. I think I definitely will read the next one. If I don't like it after the second one, I probably won't continue with it, but I do have high hopes for the second, seeing as like how the first one finishes and everything that's been built up. I feel like now is the time for it to really start picking up and going crazy, and if I do not have that in book 2, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'll be continuing. But as a whole, I feel like it was a pretty good reading month. Obviously we had 1 5-star, I believe. Yeah, 1 5-star, which was Heavenly Bodies. I already kind of want to reread this. I just loved it so much. I think I probably will try post the reading vlog of me experiencing it because I just loved it. So, but heads up, it was filmed prior to me getting my camera and before I'd kind of, I mean, I'm still not great at YouTube, but it's going to look like I've gone back a bit, so bear that in mind. But yeah, we had a 5-star, we had a few 4 stars. Yeah, we had the novella, and we had obviously Binding 13, and we had a few disappointments. But you know what, as a whole, 8 books down, it was a small month, it was a busy month, so I feel like we still accomplished a lot. Anyway, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to know what I plan to hopefully read in March, then please check out my March TBR video. I think we've got about 6 books on there currently. Have I started any of them yet? No, but that's fine. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Please like, comment, subscribe. There will also obviously be a reading vlog out soon with some of the books mentioned in this video, and there are other book reading vlogs coming out, so please watch. So yeah, please subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you all again soon.